First question is, how did you book paying gigs in the Christian music scene? Every now and again, I'll get questions from farmhands. It might be, what's the story behind a certain song, or what's my writing process, guitar tunings, guitar chords for certain songs. And I've been thinking it might be good for me to answer some of these questions. I answer them, but it might be good to answer some of these questions and just share them with other people, because there might be others of you that have the same thoughts. Well, I'm working on a couple of those videos right now. And one of them, Galin sent me some questions. He sent me 4 questions, and I'm gonna try to answer them. I don't know if I'm gonna answer them all at this one video. It depends on how long this answer is, or if I'll break it up into multiple videos. But his first question is, how did you book paying gigs in the Christian music scene? So much of the ones I come across are free coffee houses or churches that don't like to charge, which makes it very hard to find paying events. First off, let me say, it's been years since I was booking gigs like this, Galin. I started playing my first shows when I was 15, and I quit all music when I was 38. I'm 47 now, so I was 38 when I played my last gig and moved out here to this farm with my family. So remembering back to when I was first starting my music career, I know exactly what you mean, man. I felt called, led into making music and making music about my faith. So I would reach out to certain places, venues that paid, but they didn't want somebody to come and sing about faith. So then your opportunities are churches, Christian coffee houses. But yeah, a lot of those, they want you to do it because it's ministry, and that's beautiful, that's great, but it's hard to pay your bills when you're doing it with that mindset. Luckily for me, when I first started, I was just 15 and I didn't have any bills. So take that into account and take that into consideration. When I was taking these first steps into a career in music, I had very little responsibilities as opposed to a man with a wife and kids. If I was starting today, it would be very, I think, difficult. But I'm gonna tell you my story. So at 15, our church would have, I went to a really small church. My dad pastored a church of about 30, 40, 50 people tops. 50 people was homecoming Sunday. It was a big deal. But music was a big part of our church. And we would have these things called Fifth Sunday Night Sings, where not just our church would be there, but some of the other smaller churches in the area would come, and maybe we would move around the different churches, on Fifth Sunday night. So my dad being the pastor, we were always there. And I would get up at these Fifth Sunday Night Sings and I would sing my songs. And there would inevitably be someone there who would hear me sing, and they would invite me to their church. So think of our Fifth Sunday Night Sings were sort of like an open mic night, somewhere. I didn't realize that at the time, but that's kind of what it was. And anybody could get up and sing a song. I would get up and sing a song. And by doing that, I was in front of more people than just my typical church. So someone from another church would be there. They would hear me, and they would come up to after the service was over, and they'd say, "Hey, that was really good. We really liked that. Did you write that song or whatever?" And I go, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, our youth group is having a lock-in in a couple of weeks, and we would love for you to come sing at it." And I was like, "Yeah." Or, "Hey, we're having a special homecoming service at our church, and would you come sing your song at it?" "Yeah, I'd love to do that." So my first gigs were my mom taking me, driving me in her minivan, and dropping me off at somebody else's church so that I could go in and sing my songs. I never got paid for those. Maybe someone would come up to me and hand me $10 or something, but it was very rare. that there was ever a conversation of money. Um, but those opportunities would always usually lead to more opportunities, right? So if I go and sing at some other church, there's going to be someone there from another church. This isn't always happen, but most of the time I would go sing somewhere else. I would sing my songs. I would tell my stories, and I'm learning. I'm getting better at singing my songs. I'm getting better at stage presence, more comfortable. I'm learning what works and what doesn't work by how the audience responds to what I'm doing, what to say between songs that connects with people. All of this is valuable because, and again, it wasn't intentional at the time. I was 15, man. 15. I'm not like, I don't have a coach, or I'm not being intentional about it. But in hindsight, all those, I was putting in the reps and learning, and each time getting better and better and better. And as I'm getting better and better and better, the opportunities are getting better. So now I'm getting asked to come sing at a larger church, or a bigger youth lock-in conference, youth conference, or something like that, right? And I'm in front of more and more people. Maybe I'm starting to say, by this time, let's say I'm 16 years old and I'm driving myself to these gigs. I might say to them, hey, yes, I can come. Would you be willing to do a love offering? And most of them said yes. There were times that people told me no, we can't do a love offering for you. We can't give you anything. And I still felt, again, I'm 16. I have no responsibilities. I had a car payment and an insurance payment. I think my monthly obligations in the world were maybe $300, and so if I was playing a few gigs every month, I could make that. And I had a job at the same time. I worked for Heat and Air. Across the street from where I lived, there was a guy that had a heat and air business, and I worked for him. So again, this isn't a full-grown man with a wife and kids that's telling you this. This is a 16-year-old with $300 a month responsibility, who had a job that made enough money to cover that, and the music thing was still just something that I was just learning. Opportunities kept growing. Now, I did have enough of a sort of business mindset that I thought, I'm in front of a lot of people. For a guy who grew up going to churches of 20, 30 people, for me to be able to go sing somewhere and there'd be 100 people there, that was a big deal. My dad was a pastor preaching every week and wasn't in front of 100 people. I'm 16 years old, and there's opportunities for me to be out somewhere singing. It was a big deal. If I was in front of 50 people, 60 people, I saw that as like, whoa, this is enormous. So I saw, there was enough in my mind of going, I need to find a way to see if I can make this cover my gas, right? So at the time there was these t-shirt companies, and I don't remember what they were called, but it was kind of a popular thing for youth groups and things like that to have fundraisers where they would order these generic Christian t-shirts wholesale, and then they would sell them, and they got to make a little money. And I had seen those kinds of things, and I thought, well, I can do that. I'll buy some of these like wholesale Christian t-shirts, and I'll set up a table and I'll sell these t-shirts. And I did, man. I had, they weren't me. They were, I don't know, God's Gym or whatever. I would buy a certain number of these wholesale t-shirts, put them on a merch table, and I would on a table out front. And so now if I'm singing somewhere and they're not giving me a love offering, I'm not getting paid, there's at least a way for someone to go back there. If a few people go back there and they buy a t-shirt, I don't know, if 100 people were there and 10 of them go buy a t-shirt, maybe I'm making $10 a t-shirt. I'm walking away with $100. So now there's like this idea of going, okay, if I do 3 gigs a month and I can sell 30 t-shirts and make $10 a t-shirt, I can cover my monthly expense. At 16, I'm thinking about this kind of stuff. That kept growing. Opportunities kept growing. And my point is that what I'm trying to get into your head, although I'm reminiscing and going down memory lane and making this story a lot longer than it has to be, I started thinking of how can I add value to the room that has nothing to do with whether I got paid to be there or not. And if I can add value, I'm in front of people, I'm singing. I'm not talking about that. Like I'm not talking about the value of I'm there to minister and I'm there because I'm doing what I feel called to do. That value, we can never put a value on that. That's for eternity. At the same time, I have a car payment, I have insurance, I like to eat food. Is there another way I can do that where I give an audience an opportunity to participate in that with me? You see me searching for words, I found that through, in the beginning, selling generic t-shirts. Then I worked up the nerve to make my own CD. I was probably, again, 16, 17 years old when I made the very first one. It was just a cassette tape, but I set up in a church. A friend helped me set up in a church and plug directly into a board and record live into that board. And I recorded, 5 songs and made a short production of a recording. And now I have something I can sell on my table that's all mine. Now I have something I'm selling for $10 that's I'm not having to go and buy t-shirts from, or $15, whatever I was doing. When I was 18, opportunities kept growing, man. And as opportunities kept growing, the more and more in the beginning, I was taking whatever I could get and learning. The more the opportunities grew and I got in front of more and more people, I'm thinking of ways, like, without anybody paying me to be there, what can I create? CDs, t-shirts. I started printing my own t-shirts that I have on a table so that the people that are there can come and purchase something and then I make money from it. By the time I was 18 years old, it was full time. I was calling churches nonstop. I mean, I'm learning a lot, man. I'm calling gigs nonstop. I'm being told no a lot, and continue to make calls. Building that muscle of I'm going to keep going no matter what. And the more and more I did that, the more opportunities started coming back at me. So now I'm out playing all these shows. There's other people hearing me. They're inviting me to their churches. They're inviting me to their youth events. They're inviting me to their, festivals they're doing or whatever. And once those opportunities got to that point to where my phone is the one that's now ringing, I was able to say to them, I can come, but I need you to, $300. And then this is a long time ago, again. So I don't know what that would be now, but then I need $300 guaranteed to cover my expenses plus a love offering. And I still would have people who would say no. And by that point, if they said no, I said, sorry, I can't make it. And I would have people that would, well, man, that's terrible. You're not going to come. You should just trust the Lord. And I go, I do trust the Lord. I trust that I'm going to invest and give my all in this. And I'm asking you to do the same. Like, just meet me in the middle, right? So I'm willing to give of my time freely. I'm willing to be there freely. I'm going to accept a love offering. And if the love offering is nothing, I walk away with nothing. But I'm going to commit to, 8 hours driving one way. And that's going to cost me money to do that. I've got food. I've got a hotel room. It's going to cost me money to come and minister to your event, to add value to your event. I need you to at least help me, meet me there, right? So that that I'm not the one that's just giving all and you're taking all. And I mean, I wouldn't say it like that to them, but basically in my mind, I was like, I do trust God. I trust God that if you are not willing to help me do this, then I'm going to say no to you, and he's going to provide another opportunity that's going to give as much, that's going to be as invested in it as I am. And I'm going to shake the dust off my feet and go to that next gig. So there were people I said no to. There were people who said ugly things to me about it, and that was fine. I moved on. And yeah, and as I did that, as it kept growing, you get my point, as it kept growing, as the opportunities got more and more and more, I was able to slowly start increasing that. As my responsibilities became more and more and more, that number had to go up. As I got married, as I had a house payment, um, that number of what it took for me to say yes to things got higher. But by that point, the momentum of me just doing all this work for nothing, and getting better and better and better at what I was doing created enough opportunity for me to be able to do that. And at the same time, I maximized every audience I had. So if I was going to be in front of a few hundred people, 1,000 people, I was maximizing what I was offering that audience. Some people will come up and buy a t-shirt because they want a t-shirt. Some people just want to be a part of what you're doing, and they're looking for something. And if you don't have something for them, a t-shirt, a CD, an album now, vinyl, whatever the kids are buying these days, dude, a QR code up on your table that, with a picture of your family that says, take my family out to dinner. I don't know, fill up my wife's minivan. There are people who just who will be ministered to by what you're doing, and they want to minister back to you. And there's going to be people who want to take. Both exist. You just have to know why you're doing it, keep doing it, and be smart about it, or it's not sustainable. It's just the way it is. So how did I answer your question? How do you book paying gigs in the Christian music scene? So much of the ones I come across are free coffee houses or churches that don't like to charge. What makes it hard to find paying events. Man, that's how I did it. Just keep working and getting better and growing. The opportunity should grow as you grow. Keep in mind, these churches, you're the one it's your job. It's your business. So it's your job to find a way to monetize it. It's not some youth pastor's job somewhere to find a way to monetize it for you. You have to be the one that's thinking that through. Churches aren't thinking that way. Churches aren't thinking, how do I pay this guy? You call that church and you say, hey, I can do this. I can add value in this way. Do you have a budget for this? If you don't, that's great. Let's talk. Let's see if we can figure out something. I remember times when early on, when a church would call me and say, hey, we would like you to come. And I'd say, hey, could you do $300? No, we can't. We really have no budget. We have a church of like 20 people, 30 people, but we really would love you to come. What can we do? And I would hear their heart, and I would know, because I've been there. My dad pastored these small churches. You can tell when somebody's trying to take advantage of you, when someone's being honest. And I had these opportunities, these times where people would invite me to come, and I knew that they just didn't have it. So I got creative, and I said, okay, do you know other pastors in your area, other youth pastors in your area, other coffee shops in your area? I know you can't give me money, but could you invest some time? And many of them were like, what do you mean? I said, can you make some phone calls? So if I'm coming to you for a Friday night lock-in, a youth event at your church, can you make some calls and find me a coffee shop that'll pay $100 for me to come sing on Saturday night? Yeah. Do you have enough friends in the area, pastors within an hour radius of you, that you could call and see if someone would let me come sing on a Sunday morning for a love offering? Could you call somewhere else for a Sunday night and get me to come sing for $50, $100, and I can sell some things? And I would turn a lot of these guys who would call me and say, hey, we're in Virginia. I know we're 8 hours away, but we'd love to have you. I would turn them into booking agents for me. Say, hey, I get that you can't afford to pay me anything, and I really do want to come. These are my expenses. Can you help me get creative and find a way to cover them? And if that person's willing to invest and help you do that, I'm willing to invest and drive and play their event for free, because they're helping me build relationships and cover my trip. That happened a ton. I'm still friends with some of those people today that did that for me, that helped me find out. They didn't pay me directly, but they helped me find opportunities. So get creative, Yeah, I booked gigs, but I wrote some notes down, so I'm just going to make sure I said it all. Exposure is not always worthless, but exposure doesn't fill your gas tank, man. Be careful. There are people who would take advantage of you in the name of ministry. Be careful. The scripture gives you complete permission to shake the dust off your feet and go somewhere else. That God he's using you, but he will also provide for you. And there are Christians who will just use you. I say that in quotes. Don't get offended, anybody. But there are definitely people who will just use you. God wants to use you and provide for you. Um, I booked gigs by playing anywhere I could at first, serving people, building relationships, calling churches, following up, learning how to explain the value of what I did, and eventually becoming clear about what I needed. I think I said all that. Dude, it wasn't glamorous. It was a ton of work, a lot of awkward phone calls, a lot of long drives, a lot of playing for whoever showed up. But that's how it started for me. And yeah, I think that was really long. So I'm going to cover question 2 in a different video. I'm going to take a breath and go get some coffee and maybe post this video a different time. The next question is, how did you get access to greater opportunities that paid more for your time and talent? I may have already answered that question in that one, but let me think on it and I'll come back to it. All right, I went and got myself a coffee. I actually moved my cows to a new pasture and I came back downstairs, and I think I can answer this next question really quick, so I'm going to squeeze it on to this video. I'm going to answer questions 3 and 4 in a different video. This question was, how do you get access to greater opportunities that paid more for your time? And I do believe I answered that in the first question. I want to reiterate it. The greater opportunities came from more opportunities. The more I did, the more doors that opened, the more I was able to pick and choose which opportunities were not just me giving, but me partnering with other people who wanted to give as much. So yeah, I would just say you got to keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You're growing, you're learning, you're getting better and better and better. And be honest with yourself, if you're not learning and you're not getting better, you need to get to work on it, all right? More opportunities are not going to come from you just doing the same old thing. If you want to play for more people, if you want to ask for more in return, you have to be able to give more value. So be paying attention, take notes, learn what worked and what didn't work, change your set list, get better at songwriting, get better at telling stories. All of these things are things that you can do. And yeah, that gives you greater access. The more you do, the greater access you get to opportunity, and you get access to choices. All right. So I was determined, or stubborn, I guess, whatever you want to say. And I kept going, and that opened up more and more doors. Like I said, I made some notes here just to make sure I'm answering your question, but that meant I played a lot of things that weren't great, but in the end, they were great because they opened up doors for other things, or I learned what kind of gigs not to do. Everything, you can learn from everything if you're paying attention. So pay attention. You'll figure out when somebody actually values you and not just wants to use you. So you learn, promoters or pastors. I made relationships with youth pastors and promoters in certain areas that I knew I could trust. And I built those relationships. I did more and more events with them and had them recommend me to people that they trusted, because, that's relationship is everything. It's important. I wrote this down. Not every opportunity is from God. So be careful. Just because someone asks you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. Not every door that opens is God opening that door. Some opportunities are assignments. Some are, lessons. There's things for us to learn. And some things we do, they're just warnings of what to never do again. So we have to learn the difference. The more you build, the more you can start saying yes to. The more you do, the better you get, the more opportunities that will come your way, and the more you can say yes to the things that are actually healthy and no to the things that are just, using you up. Answers to questions 3 and 4 will be later. Do you have any advice on how to use existing technology and social media to generate income? And number 4, where is it? Would you ever sign another record deal? I'll answer those questions in my next video. Love you. Hey, if you're still here, I thought of something else. You didn't ask this question, but I would do it differently, man. If I could go back and do it differently, I would do it differently. And in some ways I'm not touring now for many different reasons. I'm just playing a few shows a year at my barn here. Now that I'm doing music again, I'm just playing these concerts here at my barn. But if I was doing it again, or if I could go back to 15-year-old, 16-year-old me and give advice, I would give this advice. As soon as you can, you need to be just doing a ticketed event where you're promoting your own event. Book a venue, invest in yourself, book a small place that sits 50 people and sell tickets for $20 to come see you play. When you are in the beginning, when you're building it and you're trying to find audiences and be in front of audience, call those churches in the Christian music world, call those churches, call those coffee shops, look for youth conferences, things like that, where you can play smaller stages and get in front of people. All that's valid. And if there's some big church somewhere that wants to pay you a few $100, $1,000 or whatever that their budget allows for you to come play at their cookout for free, to me, you get what I'm saying. If there's some big church somewhere, big churches, they have budgets and they for entertainment, whatever you want to call it, right? So they will pay artists to come play, but everybody that's there listening to that artist didn't pay anything to hear it. That's okay. When you are starting out, that's okay. You're getting in front of people, you're making some money, that's great. But you don't want to keep doing that over and over again, because the audience will get used to seeing you for free and they don't value it. If there was a big church somewhere or a youth conference or something like that wanted to pay you to come in and play, go do it. Get in front of all those people, promote your stuff like crazy, learn from it, try to connect with as many people as you can, and then look 6 months out or 3 months out and try to find a venue that sits 50 people that you can book, that you can pay for to have that place, and promote that you have a concert and that tickets are $20, $15, $30, whatever you want. But go in there and play for those. If 30 people show up, play for those 30 people like they are 2,000 people. Give them your all. Connect with those people. Have them join an email list. And then 6 months later, come back and do it again. And maybe those 30 people bring a friend. So now you're playing for 60 people that's paid $20 to be there. And now you're building something that you actually have some control over, rather than just being at the mercy of, whatever church wants to decide whoever the hottest thing is at that time to bring in and use their budget to bring it in. You know what I mean? As soon as you can. If you gave me an opportunity today, some big church has a big budget and they want to pay me a couple $1,000s to come play for, an outreach event that they got going on, which happens all the time. And I did a lot of those things. If you gave me that option, or I'm going to book a small little local theater that sits 150 people, and I'm going to try to sell tickets to people to come and see me. The tickets are $10 a piece, and 50 people show up. But those 50 people that showed up paid $10 to be there, versus to see me, to hear my songs and hear my story, versus at the outreach thing, I'm one of a bunch of things going on. There's a jumpy house, there's a slip and slide, there's a Christian comedian over there, and all this. There's a million things going on, and I'm playing some little stage over here. I'm making more money for that, and technically in front of more people. But I would take the smaller audience that valued being there with me, to connect with me, that I'm building actual relationship with, over the more money, more people that are just kind of like see me as entertainment. That's my advice. As soon as you can, as quick as you can, start investing in yourself. Find a place, sell tickets to it, promote it yourself for people to come and, value what you're doing. And then you're not at the mercy of, will this church book you for X amount of dollars? Or will this, you get what I'm saying? Get to work on that. Build it.